Hey guys, what's up? It is week 40. I can't believe it's already been 40 weeks of doing this. I'm enjoying it. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I have 6 reviews, pick a movie drawing, some Q&A, and an update. The one thing I want to address is I haven't been able to get a hold of Dan D, who won the last pick a movie competition. So if he doesn't get a hold of me very soon, I'm going to put him on hiatus and not draw another name. Just take somebody who always enters who hasn't won and ask them if they'd like to pick a movie. So they kind of jump ahead. And then if Dan D does come back, he'll just squeeze in there somewhere. That's how we'll do it. Let me start out right away with the first review by Seven Films. This is Threads. Yeah, this just got released at the end of January, I think it is. Yeah, Threads is a crazy, crazy movie. I had heard quite a bit about it, but I had never seen it. It always, I remember them talking about it. Elric Kane talked about it. I had heard about it before that too, seen it on bootlegs and wondering what it was. Elric Kane had said that it always made this list of the greatest horror movies ever, and he had never seen it, so that interested him. Threads. Only Severin would have the guts to release this type of movie. It involves nuclear war. This is made in '84. And it's a very unique film. I actually did write a review over at the Screaming Toilet page. I think that will probably justify it more than my ramblings coming on here. But it is part kind of like documentary style with documentary narration and part fictional narrative. And it's so personal with these characters. It's basically a Sheffield, England, and it's during the Cold War, which, and it's starting to boil up to the point where America and Russia are at each other's throats. And Sheffield, England's right in the middle here. And everyone's paranoid. Everyone's terrified. It's one of the most bleak portrayals of possible nuclear war ever. And of course, nuclear war does happen, and it shows the before, the during, and the after. And some of the images in here are more horrific than most horror movies. I couldn't believe how bleak it actually got. It's not necessarily a horror movie, but it's a post-apocalyptic movie, and it's done realistically. And with those touches of narration and documentary style, it feels real. And with those touches of like personal narrative storyline with these characters, it feels like you're stuck in a documentary about real people, and it feels all personal, and it just feels too damn real for comfort. It looks so gloomy and so depressing, and some of the images in this film kind of stick with you. There's a moment where this pregnant woman, after the nuclear blast, she seemingly gives up, it feels like. And she wanders out into like the radioactive fallout, and she's going by, and each person she sees, each one looks worse and worse and worse. And she goes by this lady who's holding what appears to be a baby or a baby doll. You don't really know. And that's just like a scene that nightmares are made out of it. She's just staring in oblivion. And there's awful scenes of people who get the radioactive, get sick afterwards, and it's just a very, very tough movie to watch, and it asks a lot of questions about nuclear war, and more importantly, it asks, what's worth living after this? Are they even human? And it shows into the future what the people will become in sentence fragments, speaking in sentence fragments. It's just a really great release, and I'm really happy Sever did that, released it. And it's funny, because they released Killing of America at a time when there was a lot of shootings, and, everybody knows how violent America can be, and it's just like it puts focus on these issues that, man, maybe we are with nuclear war and everything coming up. But I'm going to look at the back. There is an audio commentary with the director, Mick Jackson. That one's really cool. David Gregory actually does the narration on there with him. Well, talks to him with it on there. There's a interview with the lead actress who is pretty candid about the experience and talks about it. They talk about the director of photography, which is really cool. Destructions with the production designer, and he does such a good job you don't even know their production designs. Half of them are like tore up buildings. And of course Stephen Thrower's on the disc as well, doing his best, talking about Threads in interesting ways. But Threads, would really recommend it. Also check out the written review. I think I did a fairly decent job, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
The skeleton of a bird.
When you hear the attack warning, you and your family must take cover at once.
This time, they are playing with, at best, the destruction of life as we know it, and at worst, total annihilation. You cannot win a nuclear war!
Is it for real? Attack warnings for bloody real. Is it?
The real effect of a nuclear weapon is not what it does to things, to buildings, to cities. It's what it does to society, what it does to people, what it does psychologically.
I mean, I still have people saying to me, I never slept after seeing Threads, or it was the worst thing I ever saw in my life, I was so terrified.
It's one of those moments in time where you get to throw a bunch of people together and this incredible creative force comes out of it because it's the right time in these people's lives, and the meaningfulness of the story that we're trying to create, something extraordinary happens.
And we were a generation that grew up half expecting nuclear annihilation.
We're again living in a world where nuclear confrontation is on the cards again. If anything, a more alarming world now, because as bad as Ronald Reagan was, as bad as Yuri Andropov was, one never got the sense that they were certifiably insane.
The next one by Severin. If anybody knows me, they know I love Italian films, Italian horror films, exploitation films, crime films, giallos. But one of my all-time favorite genres is the cannibal genre. And again, Severin Films delivers the goods with Eaten a Frickin' Live. Yes, the second in the Umberto Lenzi cannibal trilogy. And also, I believe the second that Robert Kerman he appeared in the cannibal films. Robert Kerman's in this, and one of three that Ivan Rasimov appeared in the cannibal movies, and one of three Mimi Lay appeared in. So it's just like the trilogy cannibal movie. It's like has a bunch of people that were all part of three cannibal films in this one. Eaten Alive. It follows the kind of general story like all good cannibal movies. It starts out in a civilized world. This time in Canada in the very beginning, which got a chuckle out of me because it's usually New York. It quickly goes to New York, but we have this what you would appear to be like the typical like native from New Guinea. Well, he's not necessarily cannibal, but this guy from New Guinea. And he shoots these poison darts at people, and you realize it all comes back to this the actress Janet Argan, who's in City of the Living Dead, and so something was on this guy of his sisters. So that leads her into the jungles to try to find her sister. She meets up with Robert Kerman, who's like a mercenary or a Vietnam deserter, and Robert Kerman from Cannibal Holocaust and Cannibal Ferox and Night of the Creeps ends up helping her through the jungle. What they run into is violent crocodiles, of course cannibals, and a crazy Jim Jones style cult led by Ivan Rasimov. It's so obvious. His name is Jonas. It's not trying to hide. It's not trying to be subtle. It's right in your face. This is Jim Jones and his cult in a jungle. This kind of element is new to the cannibal genre, and I think it's pretty cool. It's a nice addition. It adds in a lot of stuff, like the cult mentality, which I love in here. This one is exploitation to the T. There is gratuitous nudity everywhere. There is gratuitous rape scenes all over the place. And of course, there's horrible real-life animal killings, and a lot of it, too. And what's weird about Eaten Alive is they actually take clips from Jungle Holocaust and Mountain of the Cannibal God, which is funny. It's funny that to take these clips from this movie because there was kind of this ongoing feud with Ruggiero Deodato, who did Cannibal Holocaust, Jungle Holocaust, Cut and Run, and Umberto Lenzi, who did Cannibal Ferox, Eaten Alive, and Man from Deep River. And in the special features, it goes over this, but I always knew it due to the book The Eaten Alive by Italian Cannibals and Zombies book, and other things and other sources. But Ruggiero Deodato was considered, the king of the genre, but Lenzi always said, you never created it. I created Man from Deep River, and then you got the gig because I turned down Jungle Holocaust. You did that. Then you did Cannibal Holocaust. Then I came back and did Eaten Alive and Cannibal Ferox to, kind of combat that. But, Cannibal Holocaust stands at the top of this exploitation jungle violence heap. And for good reason. It's a masterpiece. And it's fun to see in the, the interviews on here. You can tell that they have this, their stuff with Reggio Deodato, because there's a Mimi Lay documentary on here, which is phenomenal, which is great. And there's stuff, of course, with Umberto Lenzi, because he directed this movie. You can see that there's definitely something going back between them and all the special features on here. But they did shoot some new interviews on here. I think the Umberto Lenzi interview from Freakorama is newer. It's got to be towards the end of his life. Maybe it's an older one. We have one with the production designer who worked on all these Italian classics. That one's new. We have a new documentary with Mimi Lay, which is phenomenal. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. Talks about all the movies she was in: Man from Deep River, Jungle Holocaust, Eaten Alive. And we have some old ported over stuff from the Shriek Show disc with Ivan Rossimo and Robert Kerman. It's a wonderful release. It looks probably better than I've ever seen it. The music's by Buddy Magdaloni, and you will recognize some of that music because it's a lot of the same stuff used in Cannibal Ferox a year later. Yeah, I know this is not good for me. I know it's bad for me. I know it is exploitation. Umberto Lenzi even admits in the features he hates these movies. He especially hates Ferox, but he hates these movies. They're not good. He doesn't like them. I enjoy them. I like the survival. I like the jungle aspects. I like that they just basically have to go against all these crazy things, and man versus jungle, man versus man. And then every once in a while they'll try to paint some weird, moral message that usually is littered with garbage. And you're like, you're going to try to paint me a moral message after all that bullshit you put me through? But Eaten Alive, it's vastly enjoyable cannibal film. If you can get past the real extreme animal violence, then I would recommend checking it out. It's one of the top gross ones. I'm sure it made the Video Nasty list along with all the other ones. But this is one of the most brutal ones. After, Holocaust and Ferox and Jungle Holocaust, this probably sits at the number 4 spot for just ridiculous, gratuitous stuff in here. And I do think it's pretty funny. And there's like such exploitative stuff in here. Like they used footage from Jungle Holocaust, which is Rosario Deodato's movie. Because it had a scene with Mei Lei where it's a horrifically violent death scene, and they reused the death scene. That's how cheap it is at times, but also, it also seems really big and extravagant because it's in the jungle and there's helicopters and whatnot. But really great performance by Ivan Rossimo. I always love seeing Robert Kerman and Mimi Lei and all those people. So Mel Ferrer is in this too. I don't know how they got him, but they did. But Eaten Alive, a great release for a movie that I think's great.
Io vedo adesso su Facebook che sono considerato un genio per film come Cannibal Ferox, Mangiati Vivi. E loro chiamarono Ruggero Deodato. Quindi quando Ruggero Deodato disse di essere lui il coso, non è vero, lui è.
I had to support my daughter, so I had to get a proper job, really.
Un set molto deciso.
Nothing appealed to me particularly about the cannibal genre. It's just that the cannibal genre came up.
It was very easy for me.
Che mi ha reso più famoso è il genere del poliziottesco italiano, cioè.
This next one is fairly interesting of a release and a movie. It is from Arrow Academy. It is Henri-Georges Clouzot's Inferno. Yeah, and this is an odd title, and this is an odd film, and how it got made is really bizarre. Clouzot, I'm saying his name wrong. He was an infamous, famous French director, one of the powerful people. He had a lot of, pull, and he wanted to make this movie Inferno. He wanted to make it a masterpiece. Of course, This is a movie that shows what happens when you get overly zealous and you get very, very controlling, and you lose a movie. This is basically the exposed film. Well, they could find the film of it, the daily shoots, 2 weeks of an 18-week shoot of a movie that was canceled. But, it's infamous for what happened on the set. The story is actually probably bigger than the actual movie. And it's famous for having beautiful images, looking like some people would, like bright colors, and the movie would be shot in black and white, and then these visions of, torment from the lead would be in color. It basically follows the story. The movie that it's based on follows the story of a man who thinks his wife's cheating, and he becomes obsessed. He goes crazy. And what we have here is actual documentary, focusing on that movie and reenactments and whatnot. So it's kind of like a real movie documentary style thing. Interviews, it's all over the place, but they have that going on for it. It's very unique, and then on top of that, the special features even have a documentary about it, so it's almost like you're watching two feature-length documentaries. I actually prefer the straight documentary over the reenactments in here, but it is an interesting movie, and the stuff that he was trying to pull off with lighting and with camera techniques was amazing. Having car go down and actual train driving in the background, and he's like, like we can never get it, and the stuff he put the actors through and the crew through makes you want to strangle them. It's a very interesting look at what happens, and with a director gets too much power, and when he has, he's obsessed and goes nuts, and it also shows maybe at a point like why these directors stopped getting so much power while the Hollywood system took over, and then we get a lot of carbon copy crap. But like I said, there's a 30-minute documentary on here. As for the other features, there's an interview with the guy who actually got this released and got this made. So it's a nice release of a unique story, and it's not something I'm super familiar with the director's work, but I think it was pretty cool to watch and learn from it about filmmaking in general, especially from that time frame.
Clouzot, le cinéma de l'époque, c'était un des très grands du cinéma, un de ces metteurs en scène français qui pouvait drainer des acteurs et aussi les capitaux qu'il voulait pour faire ce qu'il voulait. L'enfer pour Clouzot, c'était la volonté de faire un autre type de cinéma.
Le film raconte l'histoire d'un homme qui est hyper jaloux et il pense que sa femme le trompe, aussi bien avec des hommes qu'avec des femmes. Et donc à chaque fois qu'il pense que sa femme le trompe, l'univers extérieur se déforme.
The next, we have two streaming ones. One from Amazon Prime, and where's the other one from? Oh, they're Shudder. The first one is Ballad of Blood. This is like made in 2007 by Ruggiero Deodato, and I didn't even really know about it. I saw it on Amazon Prime. I was like, 2007? Ruggiero Deodato? What's going on? So I started watching it, and this is the weirdest damn thing I've seen in a long time. Ruggiero Deodato, you guys know, did his jungle adventure movies, Cannibal Holocaust, which I mentioned previously, Jungle Holocaust, Cut and Run, and a bunch of other stuff. Body Count, House on the Edge of the Park, Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man, Waves of Lust, Raiders of Atlantis. Ruggiero Deodato is one of my favorite Italian directors out there. So I was excited to see a newer film from him. This movie is bizarre. I don't know how to put it. It's a train wreck, is what I'll say. It's a train wreck. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but it's a movie where there's a lot of foreign or Italian actors and actresses speaking in English, and the dialogue is really weird. And what really hurts this movie is the writing and the acting for the most part. It doesn't look like it's incompetently shot or really made. It just is a bizarre movie. What we have here is this Halloween party opening. It looks like chaotic, tons of nudity, tons of sleaze, tons of sex. And these three people wake up, and they're all violent sociopaths or psychopaths. And they're very unlikable, very crazy. And so there's a dead body. No one knows how the dead body got there, and they try to figure it out. What follows is a series of watching old videos of the person who's dead, going around selling drugs, killing people for almost no reason to cover up a crime that you may or may not have committed. By the end of the movie, the reveal, you don't really care, you don't know. They're all such monsters that you're not surprised any of these people would sink to this level to do anything. Some of the dialogue is absolutely priceless in its hilarity. The best actor in the movie is one of the leads, males, and he's an African-American gentleman. And an American, I'm pretty sure, as far as acting goes. And he does his best with the dialogue he has, but the dialogue he has doesn't feel like anybody would say it. Most of his dialogue is, fuck, or get the fuck out of my way. And it's just like, oh, man. There's some nice, interesting, zany characters that I think could have worked if the script was a little bit better. There's these two that run this bar, and they're kind of fun. This little short man and this really effeminate other guy who's always there with angel wings. There's a fair amount of blood. There's a gratuitous amount of nudity. It's just a ridiculous movie with painful dialogue and not well thought out story, to be honest. Like things like this girl says, I'm check, and then her mom calls and she's like, hey, how you doing? A complete Midwestern mother. It's like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. That's not explained. I guess you could say, well, maybe she's adopted. And it's just like, if I have to think that much about it, it's not worth thinking about. In this kind of context, in this kind of movie. But it's just nonsense. If you want to see something that is bizarre, possibly funny, train wreck to people, I don't like saying this, because Ruggiero has made some of the best movies ever, and they even use a song from House on the Edge of the Park in here, which I adore. And House on the Edge of the Park and Cannibal Holocaust are two of my all-time favorite movies, no doubt. And I'm pretty fond of almost all his movies I've seen, but this one is just a train wreck, and I think it's mostly due to writing and acting. And just a weird story. I think maybe some better actors could have pulled this off. Ruggiero does have a cameo, so there's always that to look for. But I can't recommend this unless you're looking for some laughs with some people. It's just too weird. And I don't really like laughing at movies anyways like that. You know, it's just, it's got a lot of problems.
What the fuck? What happened to your friend? We're friends, right?
There's blood everywhere.
Your chick's fucking insane, man.
Woo! Welcome to hell, bitches!
The next one is, I watched on Shudder. It is Nina Forever. I'd wanted to see this one forever, actually. But I was happy to see it on Shudder, so I started watching this one. This plot is a bizarre one. We have this guy who's been wrecked after his girlfriend died. And he starts dating this other girl. And what happens is the first time they're about to have sex, Nina crawls out of the bed, Hellraiser style, covered in blood. But she starts to talk to them, and she just won't stop coming back every time they have sex. The bed gets bloody, the sheets get bloody, everything gets bloody. They try everything in their their power to make sure Nina doesn't come back anymore. And it's a very strange character study in a lot of ways, because the main girl has some weird psychological things going on, and she's a very unique, different person, and she has unique desires. The lead guy also has this thing going on with Nina's parents, where he can't say goodbye to Nina, and he's always going over to the parents' house, and they're kind of being each other's crutches. The best performances in the movies are definitely the parents. They're phenomenal, and they're unique, and they're interesting, and they're the best part of the movie, if you ask me. There's a dinner scene with the new girlfriend and the boyfriend and the parents, and it's really awkward and really great, but I love the performances from the parents. I think they do a really good job. Besides that, I think the movie should have been a 30-minute short, but it goes on for an hour and a half, and it feels like it wears out its welcome. I feel, at points it's zany, at points it's kind of cute almost in its gratuitous, gross way, but it just gets a little tad, meandering, and you want it to end. You want it to be over. The ending's kind of cool. You expect something to happen, but it necessarily doesn't. I would say give it a spin, and if you like what you're seeing, finish it up. I think you'll enjoy it. I think the concept's pretty cool. I think it's unique and different, and I just wish it would have been a little shorter, maybe trim some of the fat. And I think that I wish there was subtitles. There was no subtitles, and Nina, the corpse, kind of has a raspy voice and a thick accent, and it's an English film, and a thick accent and a raspy voice. It's hard to understand what she's saying, but if you want to check it out, I would check out the trailer and see if you'll like this kind of thing. The blood looks excellent. And a great performance from Nina, actually. I think the acting's solid all around, but she does great, and the parents are tremendous as well, but that's on Shudder.
She was in a car accident like a year ago, before we worked here. I'd love it if my boyfriend tried to kill himself because I died.
Has anyone ever told you you were a really weird little girl? You won't be able to fix it, Molly.
I can't believe you're my boyfriend's dead ex-girlfriend.
I'm not an ex.
You're dead.
That doesn't mean we're on a break, though, does it?
Body
The last one here is the pick of the week by Matt Godfrey. It is Be My Cat, a film for Anne. And I had heard about this one. People were saying, are you going to see that review of that one? Are you going to check it out? Man, this disc looks real weird. Yeah, I bought it on Amazon, and then I realized it's no longer available to buy. You can stream it, but oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What do I say about this film, Be My Cat, a film for Anne? I'm going to start off by comparing it to other movies, to be honest. And I only do this rarely. And it's just one kind of group of movies, like similar to like characters from The Greasy Strangler or Cat Sick Blues or Chocolate Strawberry Vanilla or Bag Boy Lover Boy. It feels like a character from that. We have this guy from Romania. This is a first Romanian movie I think I've seen that I can recall. And he's obsessed with Anne Hathaway. And what he wants to do is a found footage movie. I guess you'd call it a found footage movie. He wants to make a movie for Anne Hathaway to prove that he is such a good director and so dedicated an actor in it that she will come and be in a movie with him. What he does is he hires these indie actresses from, around the country to come be in his movie. And right off the bat, this guy is awkward. This guy is different. He is unique. He is creepy and scary. And it starts to be kind of awkward and funny at first. But as it progresses, you realize there's something much darker and sinister. And this guy guy is terrifying, and it is terrifying, and it builds to the point where, you know, when these things are going to happen, it gets scary. The only weak part about this movie for me is the third act. I think that it goes on a little too long and it loses a little bit of the scene, but besides that, I think the movie's pretty excellent for what it is. It's a portrayal of a sociopath, a crazy person. And it's a good one, and he seems realistic, and he seems terrifying, and only the director could have acted in this because he knew exactly what he wanted. But this is one of those performances where I watch it and say, man, I don't want to meet that guy because I think he's actually like that. And that's probably the best compliment you can give to somebody if they're not actually like that. This guy is this. He really feels like this. And he is so bizarre and so unique and just terrifying at the same time. And I actually really like the actresses he brings in. I feel bad for him. And at times he gets on their nerves, and at times he seems like kind of quirky and almost funny. And he just has this weird song he always sings. I would really recommend checking this one out if you can. It goes to show that you can have $2 goddamn and still make a good movie, and still, you know, it's not as shaky as you would think either. It is a found footage movie, but it's not like jittery. I mean, you can hear the wind in the camera at sometimes, but it just fits. Everything works with it. It shows that you don't need money to make a scary movie or a decent movie. You just need, you know, a dedicated actor, kind of like how he was dedicated in this. And there's just some awkward, bizarre moments where he stops and he's like, am I the character or am I me? I am the character. I am the character. I would love him to meet Mark Duplass in the Creep movies, and them have some interactions. But yeah, it's a weird release, a weird movie, and I would really recommend checking it out if you're a found footage fan, which I am not really. I don't really like these. I actually realize I love found footage movies unless they're ghost or possession movies. Then I'm out. Not my thing. But as far as like Cannibal Holocaust and this movie, I really enjoyed. But yeah, such a unique movie, and I'd really give it the thumbs up. I was happy with it. I don't know if it had much replay value, but it is damn crazy, and if you like movies about crazy people, it's a good one.
Hello, Anne. My name is Adrian. I'm from Romania, and I want to make a movie with you. I saw you in Dark Knight Rises, and I saw you playing that Catwoman, and you're my actress. I even convinced 3 Romanian actresses to play in this film to show you how I'm gonna work with you on Be My Cat, on the movie that I want to make with you. They don't know. I lied to them. The actress needs to be skinny.
And I'm not skinny enough for you.
No.
How can you say that I could have tried when the start? Oh, the something got. I forgot the lyrics. Not possible.
Oh my God! Fuck! You're a shit actress. You know that? No.
Because I can't run. You talk about.
You don't want to find a solution.
If you don't leave me, I call the police, and your goddamn movie will not ever be made. Okay?
Don't like boys and dogs. They are all bullies. Mean people and mean animals. I like only girls. The girls are so sweet and cute, just like cats. I love girls and cats. Oh my God, a dead cat. Don't get it wrong, Anne. Please understand this, okay? You have 20 seconds to give me one last word, and then I will close the camera. I will change the world with you, Anne.
Okay, time for the pick a movie. What do we got here? Let's go. Who's gonna win it? I want to make sure I don't see. We got Sarah Reed. I know she just left hers on the Screaming Toilet page. And Sarah Reed, send me a message, and I'll get. And it won't be this week coming up, but it'll be the next week your movie will be reviewed. Let's hop into the Q&A. Nick, how do you feel about magical zombie movies like Wes Craven's The Serpent and the Rainbow? I enjoy that kind of stuff. I mean, haven't we seen a million zombie movies where it's just a plague or a virus? We need to see more crypt zombies, voodoo zombies, toxic zombies, more different kinds of zombies, and I think people will like zombies better. Some crypt zombies would be cool, like, you know, from like Zombie or Tombs of the Blind Dead or any of that stuff, or Cemetery of Terror. I want to see some crypt zombies. But I do like the supernatural zombie movies, and Serpent and the Rainbow is a pretty unique movie. Also, he asks, have I ever had any awkward, bizarre, frightening fan encounters? I don't know if I even really have fans. I'm sure I've had awkward encounters with people, but I've never had any frightening encounters. Brad Nielsen, has anyone in your adult life ever had a problem with your interest in movies, horror especially, that they demanded you give up? I'm not looking for details, just general thoughts and feelings. No, not as an adult. I mean, as a kid, people would always think that, as a little kid, I was obsessed with zombies and horror movies and stuff. They were always thought I was going to be like this mad slasher or something like that, or somebody crazy. And the funny thing is, a lot of people that I know now, or that thought I was going to be crazy, are not even, I'm more well-adjusted than them. So I don't know what that tells you. As an adult life, not really. I'm sure maybe some people were like, man, you spend too much money on movies. And I was like, really? I don't know about that, but that's probably about where it came from. I could see that hurting in the future, where it's like, you need to save for this or this, and it's like, you need to save for a surgery or something, and it's like, hey, I just spent $100 on movies. You know, that could be a problem, I guess, more so than just being into horror or anything like that. But never had that problem. I don't think I'd try to make those things work. If somebody had that big of a problem with something that you enjoyed and it wasn't hurting anyone, I don't see why you would spend time trying to, be with them. John Wilhelm, how much CGI is too much CGI in a movie? I just watched Cute Little Buggers, and the CGI just ruined that movie. You know what? If the movie is doing such a good job, I don't even notice bad CGI. Every once in a while, you can't help but notice. But sometimes you can get away with bad CGI if the movie's great, or, ambitious anyways. But I'll give you an example. Dark Was the Night. Was that the one with Kevin Durant? Is that the guy's name? That movie was pretty good until the very end, and the CGI came out, and it was just the worst, laziest, crappiest CGI I've ever seen, and that ruined the movie. It hurt it bad. It went from like a 4 to like a 2 out of 5 stars. It hurt it bad. It was that bad. And really bad CGI can ruin a movie. I put on this movie, I was watching on Amazon Prime, skimming through, I thought Things 4. I was like, oh, that's on there, cool. The CGI in that movie is just unacceptable. Like, that's unacceptable. Like, it's so bad that I don't even think you're trying. That's how bad it was. James Grimmer, do you ever watch horror-hosted shows such as Elvira and Creature Features when you were younger? If so, what are some things you remember about them? If not, could you ever see yourself getting into them since Fevguli and Lord Bloodraw are easily accessible? Yeah, I used to watch Monster Vision occasionally. I remember staying up late with my friend Joe Genovese. We were like, he's the first time like 5th grade or something, 4th, 5th grade. I was like, stay the night, we'll watch Monster Vision. I didn't always watch it, but Ghoulies 1 and 2 were going to be on. I was like, we got to check them out. And we got to the first Ghoulies, and I was like, Ghoulies 2's better, Ghoulies 2's better, and we fell asleep during it. Yep, that's what we remember from that. But I used to watch the Elvira thriller tapes all the time. I love those. And I remember my grandfather was like, why he's watching them? To my mom, he's like, because she wants to see them big tatas. My grandpa always had that, like, kind of perverted old man sense of humor, which is funny. But, yeah, he was talking about Elvira's boobs. And I remember that. Always remember that, because he said tatas, and it made me laugh. But let's get into the update. We have Vinegar Syndrome, Penitentiary 2. Yep. We have Mary Mary. I love Vinegar Syndrome, by the way. Prey, or Alien Prey. Baby, it's here. Criterion Night of the Living Dead. About time. So cool. So cool. Here's a Canadian release. I actually like Rob Zombie's Halloween movies. I know. But I prefer the theatrical cut on the first movie. So I imported this. This is supposed to be... not imported. It's Amazon Prime. But it's a Canadian release. This is Halloween 1 and 2. The theatrical cuts. I believe 1 is the theatrical cut. It says so. It's not the unrated director's cut, which I don't like. But yeah, that's cool. And then we have... I got this for House of Thousand Corpses. I already had Devil's Rejects. But, I like these movies. Say what you want. I like Rob Zombie. The only one I didn't like was 31. We have Carrie from Scream Factory. It's been years since I watched Carrie. I always was pretty fond of Carrie. Macon County Line from Shout. That looks really cool. Tragedy Girls. I'm excited to see this one. Only heard good things. Victor Crowley, or Hatchet 4. And we got the 8-movie Friday the 13th collection. I don't know if I've ever finished 8. I've never liked it. I could never finish it. But first 7 I always really enjoyed. Thought they were fun. And we got The Believers from Twilight Time. They had a sale. MGM. I bet that's getting released soon. We have Audrey Rose from Twilight Time. We have From Noon Till 3. I had an import different disc, but I wanted that one because it was a good price. We have one from Code Red or Dark Force. This is Chaos and Don't Look in the Basement. I have Don't Look in the Basement already on Blu-ray, but Chaos, man, was like a semi... It started off as a remake of Last House on the Left, but then who dropped out? Was it Vincent Gallo? Or Kevin Gage dropped out? Not Kevin Gage. Sage Stallone dropped out. Was he in it? Or was it Vincent Gallo? Somebody dropped out. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but I remember that being a damn twisted movie. Much better than the actual remake of Last House on the Left. We have The Forest from Code Red. The Last Hunter by Antonio Marighetti with David Warbeck and Tony King and Tisa Farrow. Good stuff. We have Death Journey with Fred Williamson. We have Mean Johnny Barrows with Fred Williamson. And then we have Mr. Mean and Joshua, both with Fred Williamson. Fred the Hammer Williamson, man. And we have some DVDs. I don't even remember if I have these or not, but they were dirt cheap. The Dead Room and Dark Touch. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Any comments, concerns, questions, you ask them at the Screaming Toilet Facebook page. If you want to enter the Pick a Movie, just leave a comment there. Oh, not Facebook page, the Screaming Toilet link. It'll be below. Don't worry about it. Everything's there. There's also audio versions of these over at the Podbeam Shut Up Brandon feed and on iTunes if you're interested in checking them out in audio form only. Pretty soon I'll be caught up, so they'll be going live along with this, and I'll change some things around. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and you guys have a good one.